Welcome back to Rebooks Recap, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Chapter 16 through 20. If you love this type of content, please like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss our daily uploads. Chapter 16. A new sense of belonging. Feyre continues adjusting to life at the Spring Court, though she still struggles with the idea of never returning home. The beauty of the manor and the surrounding lands captivates her, yet she remains wary of Tamlin and Lucien. She wonders what will happen to her, now that she is no longer a prisoner in the traditional sense. Tamlin takes her on a walk through the vast gardens, showing her the natural magic of the land. Flowers bloom in response to his presence, a quiet display of his power. Feyre watches with a mix of awe and unease, still trying to reconcile the beastly side of Tamlin with the gentler moments like this. Lucien joins them, teasing Tamlin about his attentiveness toward Feyre. Though their dynamic is playful, Feyre senses an underlying tension she cannot quite name. It is clear that Lucien knows something she doesn't, but he keeps the information to himself. That night, Feyre has another strange and vivid dream, filled with masked figures and shadowy threats lurking beyond the manor. She wakes with the eerie feeling of being watched, but sees nothing unusual. Though she tries to dismiss it, the sense of unease lingers. The next morning, she explores the library, fascinated by the sheer number of books. Frustration washes over her as she remembers her illiteracy, a reminder of her past struggles. When Tamlin offers to teach her, she refuses out of pride, unwilling to appear weak. Over a meal, Feyre overhears Tamlin and Lucien discussing the dangers beyond the borders of the Spring Court. They mention something about creatures growing bolder, though they speak in hushed tones. When she asks about it, Tamlin only offers vague reassurances that she is safe. She spends the afternoon painting, an activity that brings her a rare sense of peace. The colours and strokes of her brush help quiet the thoughts of her family and her uncertain future. As she loses herself in her work, she feels the first true moment of relaxation since arriving in Prythian. As night falls, she steps onto the balcony, looking out over the darkened landscape. A rustling in the trees catches her attention, and for a brief moment, she swears she sees a figure watching her. Before she can get a closer look, the presence vanishes into the woods. The feeling of being watched returns, though she cannot say if it is real or her imagination. She debates telling Tamlin, but decides against it, not wanting to sound paranoid. Instead, she convinces herself it was just an animal passing through. That night, as she drifts to sleep, she wonders why she's starting to feel comfortable in this place. Though she is still wary, the Spring Court no longer feels as much like a cage. A part of her fears that she might actually be starting to enjoy it. Chapter 17. A dangerous encounter. Unable to shake the feeling of being watched, Feyre ventures beyond the manor grounds the next morning. Though she knows Tamlin warned her about the dangers outside, her curiosity gets the better of her. The fresh air and open space help clear her mind, at least for a moment. As she walks, she comes across a strange, fey creature crouched near the edge of the woods. It is small and hunched, with ragged clothes and glowing, pleading eyes. The creature begs for her help, claiming it is wounded and needs healing. Instinct tells her to be cautious, but she feels a pang of sympathy. The creature looks weak and desperate, and she wonders if all Fae are as dangerous as she was led to believe. She debates whether to help it, her fingers twitching toward her dagger. Before she can decide, Tamlin suddenly appears and kills the creature in one swift motion. Blood splatters onto the grass as the Fae lets out a shriek, silenced in an instant. Feyre stares in shock, horrified by the brutal efficiency with which Tamlin dispatched it. Tamlin tells her that the creature was a puka, a type of fae that lures humans into traps with false pleas for help. Had she fallen for its act, it would have dragged her away to be devoured. The realization sends a chill down her spine. She had been moments away from making a deadly mistake. Shaken, Feyre struggles to reconcile Tamlin's gentleness with his ability to kill so mercilessly. She has never seen someone take a life so effortlessly, and it unsettles her. At the same time, she realizes just how much danger she is truly in. Tamlin scolds her for wandering off, his frustration evident. He reminds her that not all Fae are like him or Lucien. Many would not hesitate to kill her. Feyre, though shaken, bristles at being treated like a child. Later, Lucien finds her and warns her not to push Tamlin too far. He implies that there are things she does not yet understand about Tamlin and the burden he carries. Though Feyre tries to get more information, Lucien refuses to say more. That night, her sleep is restless. She dreams of monstrous creatures with glowing eyes lurking just beyond her reach. When she wakes, she finds a deep scratch on her arm, though she has no memory of getting it. The incident with the puker leaves her shaken and wary. She knows now that the Fey world is more dangerous than she ever imagined. More than ever, she realizes how little she truly understands about the place she has been forced to call home. Determined to prove her usefulness, Feyre asks Lucien to take her hunting. At first he is reluctant, but after some persistence he agrees, warning her to be careful. Though she appreciates the chance to return to something familiar, she can't shake the feeling that she is being watched. As they move through the woods, Feyre successfully tracks a deer, her instincts kicking in. She notches an arrow and brings it down cleanly, feeling a rare sense of accomplishment. However, the moment is short-lived as Lucien stiffens, sensing danger nearby. Suddenly, a group of monstrous Fey known as Naga emerges from the trees. They are twisted, shadowy creatures with sharp claws and hungry, gleaming eyes. Feyre's blood turns cold as they hiss in a guttural voice, acknowledging her presence. The Naga taunt her, revealing that they have been watching her since she arrived. One of them sneers that they will bring her to their master, confirming Feyre's fears that something or someone has been targeting her. Before she can react, they lunge forward in attack. Feyre barely has time to release an arrow before one of the Naga swipes at her, missing by inches. Lucien fights fiercely beside her, his magic flaring as he defends them. However, they are outnumbered, and Feyre realizes that survival is uncertain. Just as the Naga seem ready to overwhelm them, Tamlin appears in a blur of motion. His claws extend, his golden eyes blazing as he tears through the creatures with brutal precision. Feyre watches in horror as he slaughters them with terrifying ease. The remaining Naga attempt to flee, but Tamlin does not let them escape. He chases them down, ensuring none survive to report back to whoever sent them. When he returns, his face is unreadable, blood dripping from his claws. Tamlin lifts Feyre in his arms and carries her back to the manor without a word. She is shaken, her hands trembling from the close encounter. Though she has killed before, she has never witnessed such violence up close, especially from someone she is beginning to trust. Later, when she thanks him for saving her, he brushes it off as his duty. He tells her she needs to be more careful, his tone softer than before. Though he does not say it outright, Feyre senses that he was truly afraid for her. That night, she lies awake, thinking about the Naga's words. If they had been watching her, that meant someone wanted her captured, or worse. The question that haunts her now is why. Feyre wakes to find her injuries tended to, though her body aches from the fight. Tamlin has left food outside her door, a silent gesture of concern. She appreciates it, even if she is still struggling to process the events of the previous day. Lucien visits her, making a sarcastic remark about her habit of attracting trouble. Though his tone is light, there is an underlying tension in his words. Feyre knows that he is just as shaken by the attack as she is. They argue briefly over whether she should have been allowed to hunt at all. Lucien insists that she does not understand how dangerous Prythian truly is. Feyre, stubborn as ever, refuses to back down, demanding to know what they are keeping from her. Instead of answering, Lucien deflects, implying that Tamlin is struggling with something bigger than she realizes. His avoidance only frustrates her further, but she knows she won't get anything more out of him. She is beginning to suspect that whatever they are hiding has something to do with the curse. Determined to distract herself, she spends the afternoon painting in her room. The act of mixing colors and creating something with her hands soothes her nerves. For a few hours, she manages to push aside her fears and lose herself in the art. That evening, Tamlin finds her, and to her surprise, compliments her painting. He seems genuinely interested, asking her about the colors she uses and the emotions behind them. For the first time, they share a quiet, peaceful moment. He opens up slightly, revealing that his magic is connected to the land itself. He explains that he can sense the disturbances growing beyond the spring court. Though he doesn't tell her everything, Feyre realizes that something dangerous is looming. As the sun sets, Tamlin plays music for her, a soft and haunting melody on a stringed instrument. The sound stirs something deep inside Feyre, reminding her of things she thought she had lost. She is surprised by how much the moment affects her. She thanks him, her voice quieter than usual. It is the first time she has truly felt at ease since arriving in Prythian. Despite everything, she cannot deny that Tamlin is different from what she expected. As she drifts off to sleep, she wonders if she is starting to trust him. A part of her warns that it is dangerous to grow attached, yet for the first time she's unsure if she wants to listen. Spring has fully bloomed across the land, filling the air with the scent of flowers and fresh grass. Tamlin invites Feyre on a horseback ride, an offer that surprises her. Though hesitant, she agrees, sensing that he is trying to cheer her up. As they ride through the meadows, Feyre is struck by the beauty surrounding her. The colours seem more vivid, the air fresher than she has ever known. For the first time, she allows herself to simply enjoy the moment. Tamlin is different today, more relaxed than usual. He teases her lightly, a far cry from the distant and guarded version of himself she's grown used to. She finds herself smiling, something she hadn't expected. They stop near a lake, where Tamlin convinces her to wade into the water with him. At first, she resists, still uncomfortable with the idea of being so close to him. But eventually, she gives in, letting herself enjoy the cool water against her skin. The moment is unexpectedly playful, filled with laughter and splashes. Feyre is caught off guard by how natural it feels, as if they are just two ordinary people, not a human and a fae with a complicated history. For a brief time, all thoughts of danger and curses fade away. As they dry off, Tamlin makes a quiet remark about wishing things were different. Feyre picks up on the sadness in his voice, sensing that he is holding something back. Though she presses him, he refuses to say more. She studies him, realizing that there is more to him than she initially believed. He is not just a Fey lord. There is a weight to his actions, a loneliness that she recognizes. The realization unsettles her more than she expected. That night, she lies awake in bed, replaying the events of the day in her mind. Tamlin is no longer just the beast who took her from her family. He is something else entirely, and she does not know how to feel about that. A part of her warns that she is growing too comfortable, that she should not forget why she is here. But another part of her whispers that perhaps she no longer wants to leave. The thought both excites and terrifies her. As she finally drifts off to sleep, she wonders what will happen if she lets herself care for Tamlin. She has spent so long seeing Fae as enemies, but what if, just this once, she was wrong? Let us know in the comments what story you want to hear next. Like, subscribe and tap the notification bell and never miss a tale.